Yeah, thank you, Alison, and Buluwinak, and good afternoon, colleagues, and also stakeholders that have joined us this afternoon. Today, I'll be presenting on the Pacific Plant Protection Organization and also the areas of engagement and collaboration. On the outline, I'll be talking a little on the PPPO, the general information on the setup. I'll be also touching on plant pest and emerging threats of concern, and a little bit on the PPPO workspace and priorities as well. So for colleagues that have joined us and not aware of the PPPO, PPPO is one of the regional organizations under the International Plant Protection Convention. And as you can see in this slide, we have 26 members in this under the PPPO, and we have 22 Pacific Island countries, and we also have Australia, New Zealand, France, and USA as well. We are run by the Constitution, and this is actually was formed in 1994 and revised and amended in 2006. We also have the executive committee that sits within the PPPO that consists of 3 sub-regions: the Micronesia, Polynesian, Melanesian region. And for every sub-region, we have 2 members, and also includes Australia, New Zealand, and the secretariat that sits within the Pacific community as well. The PPPO Executive Secretariat, that is where I'm currently at. It sits within the Pacific community. We work collaboratively with all the NPPOs within the region, and also the opportunity to share some of the information around early warning, market access, and also surveillance as well. Right? And then last but not least is the member countries, which is the National Plant Protection Organizations within the region that within the PPPO. So just the slide on the countries. There, Micronesia, Polynesia, Melanesia, Australia, New Zealand as well. The constitution in which the PPPO sits under, and also a link related to the TNR PPOs within the region and the IPPC. At the international level, we have representatives from the Pacific Plant Protection Organization that sits within the IPPC, and as you can see, I'll be remember from the PPPO is Dr. Gabrielle Williams-Smith, and it's supported by our colleagues from New Zealand, Peter Thompson, and also from Cook Islands, Mrs. Temaram. From Australia, we have Sophie Peterson, who's actually the member from Southwest Pacific, and is also the current chair for the Centers Committee, and also supported by Dr. Joanne Wilson from New Zealand as well. In the IC, or the Implementation Committee, we have Mr. Natoko from Cook Islands, who supports this team. And in the Executive Committee, we have our colleagues from our colleague from Niue, NPPO, Mr. New Testament, who's the current chair, together with the 2 member countries from every sub-region, as I mentioned earlier. Moving into the threats, just a snapshot of the threats within the region, which is quite concerned. There's been talk on the coconut rhinoceros beetle. The earlier sessions, a colleague from SPC, Dr. Mark Arrow, touched on that, and we have an existing program with the support from New Zealand government on this. Taro leaf blight is also a big threat for the region as well. As you know, most of the countries do export taro from New Zealand and Australia, so taro leaf blight is a big concern for us. Citrus greening as well is also I can see a big threat to the region as well. We have the Borneo disease syndrome, also one of the diseases of concern for coconuts, currently through surveillance and ongoing collaboration with colleagues from Australia with Nakia team. This disease is only present in Papua New Guinea. Cassava brown streak disease, we do not have this disease in the region, but also a big risk in the sense that it's present in Africa, but not present in the region. For armyworm has been alluded to and spoken to by Chris Dale earlier. So I will not touch on armyworm, but we only know the threats of this particular pest if it comes to the region. Other emerging priorities and pests of concern, again, coconut rhinoceros beetle. We have the brown membrated sting bug, which is present in the countries. Terphoborn and Alme virus as well. It's currently only present in some in Solomon Islands and New Guinea. Wong disease of citrus, also a big concern as well for the region, given we do not have this disease, but through surveillance and collaboration with the focal points in at the National Plant Protection Organizations, the psyllid or the vector is present only in some cassava brown strip virus. Is a big concern given we continue to import tissue culture from other parts of the world and is stored in our gene bank facility. But it's good that through the ongoing work and screening, disease screening, we can say that whatever pest of concern that relates to cassava is not brought for this exchange of germplasm. And we have the tropical race 4 on banana, which is actually a big threat also for the region. Banana blood disease, or a bacteria caused by Ralston solanum, is also a pest of concern for the region as well. Again, I stated here yellow leaf blight, bacterial blight on cassava. Lethal yellowing is one of the diseases of concern for our region here, but we are happy to say that with this particular pest or disease is not present here. And given the ongoing export of fresh produce in our region to Australia and New Zealand, exotic harmful fruit flies is also a big pest of concern for the region as well. I wanted to touch a little on this particular disease of concern, phytoplasma, a big disease of concern for the region. And as you can note, given the threat to the coconut industries and also the well-being of the communities in the Pacific, just a snapshot of what disease will look like. I'll take you back on this particular slide on G. If we do not continue to work together as a region collaboratively with other partners and to try and prevent this disease from coming into the region, it'll actually wipe out the coconut industry, and you can have what is seen here in the 14 G. You can have the acute stage of lethal yellowing, which is what we call the lamppost symptom, where you have the palm tree standing, but you don't have a crown on it. Moving on, other issues of concern and possible collaboration. One and foremost is climate change and impacts to the PPPO member countries in the region. As you know, pest and disease is a big concern around climate change as well. And given the threats around climate change to our region, this is one of the issues that highly impact our countries in the region. Regional diagnostics training, we continue to thank Australia and New Zealand for their ongoing support in diagnostics training and opportunity for the region to take up most of this training and collaboration. And also the opportunity also when SPC goes out into the field to carry out surveillance for pest and disease on phytosanitary crops. We do send our samples to Australia and New Zealand for ID and authentication, and we thank you for this as well. Early detection and rapid response has been touched a little on earlier, but we do not, given the isolation of our countries in the region, the opportunity to detect early is very important. Thus, early warning systems are crucial for the region, and how best do we respond collaboratively. We note that in the PPPO region, we may have countries as small with a workforce of only 3 or 4 offices, but a pest outbreak is real, and given the opportunity to have a response plan activated, technical expertise and support from funding is also a big issue in the region. Thus, under the PPPO, collaboratively, we work as a big family to ensure that we try and keep most of these exotic pest and diseases out of our region. Risk pathways, PRAs, is a lot of work in this space as well, but we consider that sea container is one of the big risks associated with a big risk pathway for the region as well, movement of sea containers, and on that invasive ants and other pests of concern can actually come into the region through this risk pathway. Biological control. In the PPPO region, we do note that most of our countries are at small atoll island states, but So we try our very best to use biological control as a sense of using nature to control nature. So try to avoid the use of synthetic chemicals, given the high water tables in these small island atoll countries, that and contamination by the use of synthetic chemicals can highly impact the livelihoods of our members in our countries. Is also the ongoing collaboration by the RPPO, so the regional protection organizations, on pests of concern also from the region, and pests of concerns at the horizon as well. Moving on, touching
1
on
minute for signing.
On the space, we have this ongoing support on projects from the Australia and New Zealand. We have the regional e-fighter project. We also have the support from Department of Agriculture, Fishery and Forestry Australia on the Pacific Export Pathway project, and also from our colleagues from New Zealand Ministry of Prime Industries on the Pacific Export Pathway project, supporting the PPPO Secretariat and e-fighter as well. We have a focus group on safe food aid, which is also very important. We have the ongoing forum work that was actually mentioned earlier, ongoing PPPO Talent negotiations, trying to keep us connected. And through that, we have the ongoing support on early warning systems to the member countries on lures and traps. PLD information, which is really important. We have the biosecurity SPS capacity building on pre-border, border, and post-border. And we acknowledge the ongoing collaboration and meetings with colleagues from the national, regional, international counterparts as well as resource mobilization. In the PPPO space, we also worked on fact sheets, given we note that in terms of an emergency, there's always a need for countries to seek support. And in that, there's also a likely pathway for pest and disease to enter member countries as well. So the team has put up collaborative working with Australia and New Zealand on these fact sheets on sending seafood through in providing aid to the countries as well. The PLD I had mentioned earlier, we did a facelift with support from our colleagues from Australia DEF as well, and that is accessible to the member countries in the region. We also have the regional biosecurity information facility as well, facelift on that, and that is also available and accessible by colleagues in the region as well. The ongoing collaboration from here, again, the virtual telephone session, e-fighter. We also work very closely with our colleagues from SPREP on the guiding framework for invasive species management in the Pacific, and also on the pest alerts that have been alluded to and spoken earlier by Chris as well. In ending, I take the opportunity to thank the Forum Secretariat, Alison, for the ongoing support, and in saying that from the PPPO Secretariat and also from the PPPO Executive Committee, sincerely take this opportunity to thank each and every one of the collaborating partners that has enabled the 3 sessions that had started earlier, and this is the last session. Once again, thank you and minat balik.
So a question here is, somebody asked about this in the Q&A, I see, but it's about the pest alerts. How successful or useful are these, and what is the park project?
Yeah, thank you, Alison, and thanks for the question. I did respond to the Q&A on the answer to that, but yeah, the pest alert is actually the pest of concern in the region, and the pest alert is actually developed to inform the NPPOs in the region on this particular pest of concern. And using that, we do reach out to the technical expertise in this space in other countries, for example, in Australia, New Zealand, or even Papua New Guinea as well, where this pest is prevalent, and also seeking the input on that pest alert. Yes. And we do circulate it to the members in the PPPO, and we put it on our PPPO. I can see the PPPO site as well. Yeah.
Excellent. And there's a park project I think you mentioned as well that Mark is working on. What is that, Visoni?
Yeah, thanks, Alison. Tanya, would you want to help me on that the acronym on park? Yes.
Yep.
Specific.
Specific
Yeah, thank you.
awareness in response to
What's on
coconut rhinoceros beetle. So
rhinoceros
that's the funded CRB specific program. And Dr. Mark couldn't join us today. He had an errand in town, but he is here with me in Vanuatu.
Excellent. Okay, great. And for Sony, I was going to ask you another question. You had some sort of pests of concern that you ran through quite a few there. In our first session, we actually had a couple of presenters from Southeast Asia talking about very serious coconut pests that are causing quite significant damage in Southeast Asia, the red palm weevil and the black-headed caterpillar. And I'm interested in, is that potentially something, because I didn't see those on your list, but I do know they're sort of moving across Southeast Asia, getting close to the Pacific. So I wonder if that's something, are you keeping a lookout for those serious coconut pests?
Yeah, thanks, Alison. Yeah, the red palm weevil actually is a pest of concern as well for the region as well.
Yeah.
So I can see the screening the horizon, and it's also one of the pests of concern as well.
And do you have any programs that are monitoring for those pests?
Currently, not at this moment for the PPPO region on the monitoring of red palm weevil.
Okay, excellent.
But we, we are happy to work with the colleagues that actually presented on that, on any lures and traps that can be procured, that can be sent out to the countries with the information and also the opportunity as an early warning system on red palm weevil.
Excellent, thanks for Sony. And that's a good question for Chris. I mean, you gave some really good examples there of regional collaboration and even global collaboration. Is that something, thinking about those pests that are coming over that are quite, well, not coming over, we'll say they're not coming over, but those pests that are very serious coconut pests that are of concern, I mean, and also the coconut rhinoceros beetle, these pests are shared, and diseases are shared with Southeast Asia very closely, and there's a lot of, obviously, pathways, the introductory pathways. Is this something where you see, I guess, that kind of prevention, detection, response at a regional level could work on a little bit more closely between the two regions?
Thanks, Alison. And yeah, definitely. And I think we have some good examples, like with fall armyworm as that proof of concept, and obviously the fall armyworm action plan is, and that I guess the resources and the technical support that program provides is available and sort of has been very actively shared and promoted within the Pacific region and between the Pacific Island PPPOs as well. And I think that's really sort of helped in that preparation and response activities, particularly Fiji, for example, has implemented prevention sort of measures around importation of high-risk materials, sort of implemented pest risk assessments around fall armyworm, and I think a lot of that has come from, obviously, at the global level, the coordination and a lot of the momentum through to global action on fall armyworm. At the regional level through your program, we also have the benefit of the APPC, the Asia Pacific Plant Protection Commission, and that does include a number of sort of key Pacific Island countries as well within that group of 26 countries. And so I think that collaboration is really important. There's lots of research, lots of sort of academic activity that's going on around biocontrol and management, but also from the surveillance and trapping perspective as well, for some of that early warning and early response and early detection. So I think we don't want to duplicate effort. There's lots of work and lots of investment happening in this space already. And I think it's really important to try and tap into that and collaborate, particularly where that information and those resources are freely available and there's a strong willingness and cooperation to share and collaborate more.
Excellent, thanks, Chris. Tanya, I mean, that's a question for you that's similar here that's come up in the Q&A, but does the CRB project use the awareness or the opportunity to raise awareness at community level and understanding of other pests and diseases such as the red palm weevil, the coconut hisping beetle, the others that can cause similar damage and are equally serious problems? Is it sort of taking a kind of is it just focusing on the coconut rhinoceros beetle, or are you sort of also keeping an eye out with those farmers around looking at a more holistic kind of monitoring?
Ideally, it would be holistic, and it would be trying to combine the biosecurity staff's work into one. Unfortunately, that's not why or how it's happened. I mean, Chris and his team with the plant health surveys, they will go out and do a broader, certainly when they're going out and scoping, they're doing a broader piece. But with us and with the provincial delivery, etc., it has been CRB, and the officers that are there probably aren't equipped to talk about, sadly, some of the other pests and diseases. But I would think in some other countries where IPM or that knowledge is available, that would make absolute sense.
Thanks, Tanya. Vasoni, another question for you, perhaps. While discussing on pests and diseases within the Pacific, is there scope to involve other sectors and partners in the region to assist with the interventions undertaken in the Pacific Islands? So I guess it's looking at other stakeholders that maybe you're not currently working with. Your thoughts?
Yes, so a good example that we can see is that working, like in Fiji, working with the Sugarcane Institute Research, SRIF, and collaboratively looking at smart disease, which actually we concern for the sugarcane industry as well here in Fiji, and how we can continue to, I can say, protect the industry from that. But yeah, we do reach out to other, we can say, research institutions and also academia for the help as well on potential research. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, Vasoni. Tanya, I've got another question for you, because you talked about that sort of, I guess, being in the middle there between scientists and probably everyone else and farmers. And the question here is, I guess, are there any innovative communication strategies that you have found that have worked really well with farmers in this project or other projects?
Look, it's a tough one, especially the countries that we're working in, mainly because every country is different. Solomon Islands, less than 5% of the population have TVs, so TV advertisements not going to work. In Vanuatu, we were running advertisements before the news each night. PNG, mobile phone service or access to the internet isn't even a given. So they have to be tailored to the audience in the countries that you're working in. We found that radio messages, local jingles, things that get stuck in people's heads, catchy phrases, cut, kill, burn, is something that as part of the original plans, when we were working with Australia, that was a catchphrase, and bumper stickers on cars were actually super effective. So it is just adapting to the local community and also the networks, whether that's Facebook, whether that's radio, whether that's bumper stickers on cars or T-shirts, free T-shirts. It's quite the bandwidth, to be honest.
Yeah, excellent. No, that's great. And also, I won't get you to sort of sing one of the jingles or anything, but a question maybe for you and Vasoni. What about, were there any kind of unique or innovative sort of incentives to sort of get farmers to manage these pests? So or to stop sort of the spread of it through sort of inter-island spread? I mean, were there any sort of financial incentives, or are there other sort of social incentives that you've sort of found that worked well?
Yeah, thanks, Alison. Yeah, thanks, Alison, for that question. I think Tanya and the team will be able to touch on that, but I can give an example on for CRB, the collection of grubs from the field, and then when they bring that over to biosecurity Vanuatu team, they actually ruminate the farmers for the efforts for cleaning up breeding, I can say breeding places where the CRB actually do lay the eggs, and then you can see the grubs. So yeah, a similar process happened way back when China African snail was first detected in Samoa, working with community and also trying to collect and trying to prevent the spread of China African snail using ruminating the farmers and the public for coming up with those snails. But yeah, we had a presentation from our colleagues from Biosecurity Vanuatu, And that was also one of the ways that they're trying to tackle the spread of CRB within cooperatively, like I said, public influence.
Thanks, Vasani. Tanya, do you have anything to add? Otherwise, I have another question as well for you, if you'd like to.
Yeah, the other effective way of getting communication out to farmers too is boarding schools, targeting the children or students. Certainly in Solomons, it was more effective to target those that are in a boarding school. We were actually running an IPN trial site at a boarding school in Papua New Guinea, you know, and disseminating that information via the students heading home into their provinces and them knowing what CRB is and what the damage is as well. Just little things like that. It all adds up.
Oh, that's a great example. Thanks, Tanya. Chris, I've got one last sort of maybe question for you and for this panel, but is there any sort of economic analysis, and Vasani and Tanya can jump in if they've got anything to add, but of the impact of these coconut pests, or potentially if it's even just coconut rhinoceros beetle, but from an economic or socio-economic assessment, is there anything like that that sort of really looks at what that will cost the region?
Yeah, good question, Alison. We did in the phase 2 of our biosecurity development program in Solomons, we did sort of scope doing a full economic impact assessment around, you know, particularly from a domestic production and food security and an export perspective. So I know we scoped it out. It was, yeah, there was very sort of few sort of experts, including from our own department in ABARES, sort of with the kind of technical skills or expertise to do it. It didn't end up happening sort of it was a bit out of scope in terms of the costing and the sort of size of the program. But I know Farmer Plus has done a number of economic development or economic impact assessments on a number of sort of key biosecurity pests and diseases in the past. I think it's definitely an important tool to be able to go back to politicians and to also industry from a, I guess, not just from a modelling or a you know, traditional modelling or forecasting, but you know, the actual economics of an incursion. So it is done sort of quite sort of readily in big incursions here in Australia, and I'm sure in New Zealand as well. But I guess the challenge is weighing up the cost of actually, you know, undertaking a pretty comprehensive assessment and the benefits that will bring in terms of the response and incursion and the support, particularly around an ongoing management program.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Chris. I don't know, Tanya, if you did you do sort of economic analysis of the sort of impacts, socio-economic impact analysis?
There was some done originally, but I suppose that doesn't translate down into community level. The conversations we were having with them is, you know, what do you sell your nuts for? How many nuts do you sell? With a potential damage of 50%, this is how much income you could lose. So it really was just grassroots adding up sums of potential income that could be lost if they didn't manage the coconuts. Yeah, it was actually quite difficult to get accurate numbers, and we were relying probably on the same sort of data sets that Chris has just mentioned.
Yeah, excellent. And Vasani, just one last question for you, if you're still there. I think there you are. Sorry, your picture changed. Is there any difference? I mean, you may not have the analysis, or maybe you have done the analysis, but is there any difference in sort of gender, sort of male, female coconut farmers and women coconut farmers and men coconut farmers, and how they're managing coconut rhinoceros beetle or others?
Yeah, thank you, Alison. I do apologize. We never did a research concerning I can see gender involvement in the coconut sector, but I can see in general that in the Pacific, women plays an important role in not only just looking at the coconut itself, but the opportunity of using the husk to you know, to weave strings that actually used by men when we are building our traditional buildings or canoes. So that's also an important role that women do play in the from collecting coconut, used for copra and all that. Okay? But from the PPPO, I unfortunately never did any, I can say, general survey on gender involvement in coconut farming or coconut project.
Thanks. Great answer. Thank you, Vasoni. And thank you, Chris, and thank you, Tanya. Chris, did you want to say one last thing? I see your hand up, or is that just a legacy hand?
Thanks, Alison. I was just going to add to Tanya's comment about this social analysis, and I think that's really important, particularly for countries like Solomon Islands and PNG that we work in terms of the impact at the smallholder level, at the village level, where some of those economic impacts may not be measurable or quantified. So I think it's really important, and the work that our colleague Leandra Fernandez is doing around fall armyworm impact in Solomon Islands and Timor-Leste, I think will be really important. Sort of to look at how does that, how do these incursions and ongoing countries living with these pests, how does that impact those cycles of kind of at the village smallholder cash crop type level. So I think that's probably something that we can consider for future sort of pests of regional concern and relevance. Thank you.
Excellent.